Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Chris Horner. Today we want to talk about the preview for the World Championships coming up. Now we're about a week away from the Men's World Road Championships, and I just got done watching Tuscany, the Semi-Classic, and Coppa Sabatini. These two races were both won by Michael Valgren. That automatically starts making him a star favorite when we're talking about the World Championships coming up. So we want to highlight today's show mostly about Michael Valgren and his two rides at both Tuscany and Coppa Sabatini, how different they were. Now at Tuscany, he wins solo. Each day's win is highlighted by the EF education and how well they raced as a team tactically and just spot on, aggressive, and being in the first attacks of the day following the breaks, never having to do a chase when the break gets brought back, attacking riders all the time with Paulus up there, Guita up there, just a host of EF education riders that are helping Michael Valgren have a chance at winning those two races. Now, when you look at it and you prepare it for the World Championships, how do I really see it? He wins the first one, Tuscany, solo for about 15 kilometers out. But when you look at the results and you really break it down, who actually is back there chasing? Now, I saw a little bit with Gianni Moscon chasing at times. And then, of course, Rafael Michael was doing a lot of chasing through the valley all the way to the finish, but that's one rider chasing one rider. What really highlights about how strong Michael Valgren was is every time you watch the camera and you see the speeds, he's doing 50, 55 kilometers an hour along the flat section all the way into the finish of the race. Now, anytime you see a rider that's doing 50, 55K an hour at the end of a 190 kilometer race, you know the form is getting good. Michael Valgren hasn't won stuff for about 3.5 years, but he is an Amstel Gold winner, and they don't come any harder than winning Amstel Gold. When he wins Tuscany, he's talking about in the interview there about how that race was harder to win the Amstel Gold. I always hate when I start seeing riders give interviews that you know just cannot be true. All you have to do is look at him at the end of the Tuscany race and see how fresh he looks, and then you go back and you watch the Amstel Gold race and you see how devastated all those riders are when they finish that race, to know that nothing compares to the one-day classics when we're talking about Amstel, Flanders, Paris-Roubaix, Tour of Lombardy. All those epic one-day races are the hardest in the world. So Michael Valgren, I'm calling your bluff on this one when you say Tuscany was harder to win, and you're smiling to us, looking fresh as a daisy there while you're doing the interview on your win in Tuscany. Now, that win was impressive. I want to point something out there when you look at the quality of the chase group behind. You have 3 Gazprom Velo riders back there, and none of them got on the front to help chase with UAE Team Emirates Rafael Micah at any point in time. Crazy knucklehead tactics from the Gazprom Velo guys. One that you would never see when we start talking about the World Championships. So when Michael Valgren wins Tuscany, I see a lot of reasons there to put him a star favorite for the World Championships, but I also see a lot of reasons why you can win solo when they're not well organized behind in that group of 10 to 20 riders, where the only team really chasing were UAE Team Emirates and at times Gianni Moscon from Ineos. Now, fast forward one day, we're talking Coppa Sabatini. This is a semi-classic again. It's a beautiful race. Finishes on a nice circuit with a punch bowl climbs, one at the far end, then a flat section, and then you'll finish up a 1.5 kilometer uphill line all the way to the finish. Now this race I've done many times. I love it. I've had great experiences there. One point in time, I was doing this back in the 90s and stuff, and I had Cadel Evans, who was riding for Team Seiko, and he comes up and he starts speaking English to me. And at this point in time, English did not flow around the European peloton as freely as it does now. So when he started speaking English to me, I kind of hesitated, and I thought I was hearing something wrong. And Cadel Evans comes up to me and finally goes, you are American, right? You speak English? And I looked back at him, I was like, yeah, I just didn't expect you to. So I had a little giggle that particular race, and then get back into the action again. Now, when we get back up to the race, when you compare Coppa Sabatini to Tuscany for Michael Valgren's wins here, the next win at Coppa Sabatini, this is completely different. The day before, he's winning solo with a little bit disorganization back there in the group. Now, all of a sudden, it's all well organized. Again, EF Education have fabulous numbers, and it's Paulus that's going up the road trying to win solo. Michael Valgren has a different tactic than he had from the day before. Now, he had been attacking further away from the finish, but with Paulus attacking so close to the finish and getting brought back with only about 2.5 kilometers to go, and that means you only have about 1.5 kilometers before the final climb starts, when you see the EF Education rider get brought back, at this point in time, the next tactic would normally be for your teammates to counterattack, Michael Valgren's calm though. He does not counterattack and he relaxes. At this point in time, now you start to realize that Michael Valgren has tactical sense that some riders may or may not have, but Michael Valgren clearly has it. Because most riders at this point in time would go ahead and attack, but Michael Valgren knows he's on form, he has good fitness, he won the day before, so he's super calm and relaxed, and it's an uphill finish to the line. So he waits, saves the energy. If he was to attack before the start of the climb and then get brought back, he's going to be tired, and then of course will limit any chances that he has of beating a Sonny Colbrelli who's in the group with him, or even Gianni Moscon from Ineos, who's classic rider and good one-day rider for sure, and strong on a finishing stage of what we see on that Coppa Sabatini race. Now, when the final climb starts, it's Michael Valgren that throws in the first attack. Again, this is tactically a brilliant move. He has Sonny Colbrelli, the Italian sprinter there, and we've seen Sonny Colbrelli already during Dauphiné where he's won a stage and was winning the field sprints for seconds many times throughout the Dauphiné stages, but clearly he can finish these uphill sprints in fabulous strength and form. So Sonny Colbrelli is the number one threat when you're looking at this group of 10 that's left when we're talking about Coppa Sabatini. The only option for Michael Valgren is to go a little bit early and try to tire the legs of Sonny Colbrelli, so he's the first to jump. Tactically, it's a brilliant move. Now, Sonny Colbrelli directly follows the attack. He was clearly prepared for it. Gianni Moscon, who earlier, with about 4 or 5 kilometers to go, got on the front and drove it all the way into the start of the climb. This tactic was a little bit strange, but if you break it down and want to go to a little bit more simple, it's just country love. Clearly, he's riding for Sonny Colbrelli because they're going to be teammates next week at the World Championship. So keep an eye on that when you see Gianni Moscon selling out, and they ride for different teams, right? He's riding for Team Ineos. Sonny Colbrelli, of course, is riding for Bahrain Victorias, but he's in the European Championship jersey because he just got done winning that a week or two ago. So when you see that, prepare to see one rider, Sonny Colbrelli, looking after Gianni Moscon at next week's World Championships throughout the race until he gets dropped. But a lot of times, and when I was sitting on the couch watching Coppa Sabatini, you'll hear the announcers and they go, I don't understand why Gianni Moscon is doing this work and riding the front still for so long. It's clearly country love. The two Italians know each other, they're good friends, and the World Championships are coming up where Sonny Colbrelli could return to love next week. So now we're back into the climb. Michael Valgren is attacked. Sonny Colbrelli was expecting this and immediately attached onto the rider's wheel. After he closes the gap, he sits on for maybe only about 200 meters. This is when Sonny Colbrelli makes a big mistake. He jumps Michael Valgren at 300 meters to go. Sonny Colbrelli had no reason at all at this point in time to jump Valgren because he is the pure fastest sprinter in that group that started this final climb together. Now there's one rider behind that's starting to bridge the gap, so I wonder if it's maybe the director and the riders in Sonny Colbrelli's ear yelling at him, hey, you have to go, jump now. But at 300 meters to go on an uphill finish, this is a hard finish. I've done it many times. Even when they come out of the final left turn there, it's still a solid drag all the way to the line of probably 3-4%. Does get easier than the beginning of the climb, but it is by no means flat, even though it looks that way on the video. So when Sonny Colbrelli jumps Valgren at 300 meters to go, that was absolutely a knucklehead move there for the sprinter. One that I was really surprised. Now, Sonny Colbrelli is an amazing rider and he's on fantastic form. Could be he's thinking he wants to jump early, but there's no reason when you're a pure sprinter. You can just sit there on Valgren's wheel for another 100, 150 meters and then jump at about 150 to maybe 175 meters before the line arrives, and then Sonny Colbrelli could have had the win at Coppa Sabatini. Now, I'm pointing that out for two reasons, because when you look at the win at Tuscany with Michael Valgren, it was a solid win, but there's a lot of tactics in the back being played of why he can stay off solo. Now you look at the win the next day, and you see Sonny Colbrelli there, the mistake from the sprinter, and you see, wow, it's really two wins that you have to be on fantastic form for in order to win, but also have a little bit of tactical luck back there in terms of not having the 10-20 group back there all working well together trying to bring you back on Tuscany, and now having Sonny Colbrelli jumping at 300 meters instead of just sitting on his wheel to 150 and then attack and then starting his sprint there all the way to the line and winning Coppa Sabatini in fabulous style. Now, I still have Michael Valgren as one of my favorites when we're going into the Pro World Championships next week, but I have him maybe a 3-star favorite. So not up there with the 5-star favorites like Wout van Aert, Julian Alaphilippe. Of course, the two Slovenians, Primož Roglič and Tadej Pogačar, if they are racing the men's world championships, which I believe they are. And then, of course, the second tier, you're going to have guys like Remco Evenepoel and stuff that are going to be 4-star favorites. Then I got Michael Valgren because anytime you can finish the races and look as fresh as he did at these two Italian semi-classics, he's got to have some form, and he's already won a classic. Granted, it was Amstel Gold, which is one of the hardest one-day races. Granted, it was 3 years ago, but you do not win Amstel Gold just with luck. So his form has clearly come up to that spectacular fitness that we saw when he was winning a classic back 3 years ago. Now he's got to be a favorite when we go into the World Championships. Now the two jerseys behind me is the O2 Prime Alliance jersey. I was racing for this team when I went to the Belgian World Championships in 2002 with the U.S. team when they raced in Zolder, and it was none other than Mario Cipollini who won in a field sprint at that year. I didn't get to finish the race. There was a big crash with a lap or two to go, so I was out of the race and got to watch the finish with Mario Cipollini. The second jersey here is my first World Championship jersey in 1996 when I was riding for Nutrifig Colorado Cyclists. And then I got to race it, the World Championships in Lugano, which was spectacular because it was Italy and the fans were just absolutely packed. And it was my first World Championships, so an amazing experience. Next week, when we watch the men's World Championships in Belgium again, it's going to be open to all the public, so it should be an exciting race to watch on TV, and we should start to get back to that real feel of bike racing, big-time bike racing, when fans are just thick and furious throughout the whole course. So make sure you get ready. The World Championships coming up in a week to go. It's going to be a fabulous race. Belgium always puts on a show there. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you real soon on the next edition of Beyond the Coverage.